Hi trainers, welcome to Top Deck Academy. I'm Ellis Longhurst, the Pokemon trading card game player and caster. One of my favourite elements of the Pokemon trading card game is building my own deck. It's a great way to advance your gameplay, so today I'm going to show you how to build a deck on PTCGO, or the Pokemon trading card game online. Now, if you're brand new to the Pokemon TCG, or still learning the game, jump on over to tcg.pokemon.com/how-to-play to start your Pokemon journey with our how to play videos. Alright, in this episode of Top Deck Academy, I'm going to share with you 5 steps that you can follow to turn your favourite Pokemon into the hero of a Pokemon TCG deck. In step 1, we're going to choose the hero of our deck. In step 2, we'll identify the core components that make up a great deck. Step 3 is all about covering our weaknesses. And in step 4, I'll show you how to create a successful draw engine. My personal favourite, step 5, will name the deck. Alright, are you ready? Let's dive in. The first step when building a Pokemon trading card game deck is to choose a Pokemon around which your strategy will be focused. This is usually a Pokemon with a powerful attack or ability. I have chosen Samurott from the new Sword and Shield Vivid Voltage expansion. And this card may seem quite familiar. It is one of the key Pokemon from the new Dreadnought theme deck. Samurott is a Pokemon that for 3 energy can deal 120 damage to the opponent's active Pokemon with its Aqua Wash attack. And it also has a pretty cool second effect. You can take 2 energy from your Pokemon's active Pokemon and put it back into their hand. My strategy will be to use Samurott to deal loads of damage to the opponent's Pokemon. So it's pretty important that I'm able to find this card in my deck when I need to, so I'm going to include 4 copies of this card. With the exception of basic energy, players can only include up to 4 copies of a card in their deck. Having 4 copies of Samurott means that I will be able to find this card when I need it in battle. If I only had 1 copy, I might not be able to draw it or find it in my deck when I really need it. So now we've identified the hero of our deck, let's move on to step 2 where we will talk about the core components of the deck. The second step when building a Pokemon trading card game deck is to identify the core components of the deck. So we ask ourselves, which cards are absolutely essential to include? Let's take a look at Samurott. Samurott is a Stage 2 Pokemon. That means that you also need to include Oshawott and Dewott if you want to be able to get Samurott into play. So let's include 4 copies of Oshawott and 4 copies of Dewott in the deck. Now we've ensured that we can get a Samurott into play, but we also need to ensure that we can actually attack with it. So if we have a look at Samurott, Aqua Wash is an attack that requires water energy. So of course, we need to include water energy cards in the deck. Instead of only including 3 energy cards, I have chosen to include 10. And this is because I'm probably going to have to set up more than one Samurott during the game. And I also want to be able to draw and attach an energy card every turn. Let's have a think about what are some of the core components of a deck that you might be building to make a hero out of your favourite Pokemon. Some Pokemon might require a tool card in order to best execute that strategy, or a supporter card, or perhaps more than one energy type. Now that we've identified the hero of the deck and some of the core components, let's talk about ways that we can identify and mitigate our weaknesses. The third step of the deck building process is to identify and mitigate any potential weaknesses. One of the inherent weaknesses of a Stage 2 deck, like the Samurott deck that we're building, is that it can often be quite slow to get a Stage 2 Pokemon into play. Remember, one of the rules of the Pokemon trading card game is that you cannot evolve a Pokemon on the turn that you played it, or evolve it more than once per turn. This means that it will take 3 turns to get a Samurott into play. 1 to play Oshawott, a second turn to play Dewott, and then a third turn to evolve into Samurott. The best way to speed up this process is by using the Rare Candy item card. This item card allows you to evolve Oshawott straight into Samurott, bypassing Dewott. It's a pretty powerful card, so I'm going to include 4 of those in my deck, and reduce the copies of Dewott from 4 to 2. Now let's think about other potential weaknesses of this deck. And one revolves around the rule that restricts energy attachments per turn. In the Pokemon trading card game, players can only attach one energy card to one of their Pokemon every turn. So that means that even if we can evolve an Oshawott into a Samurott in 2 turns, because Aqua Wash requires 3 energy, it's going to take 3 turns to be able to power up Aqua Wash. So for this reason, I've chosen to include Frostmoth and Snom in my deck. Frostmoth's Ice Dance ability enables players to attach as many water energy cards to their Pokemon as they like every turn, as long as that Pokemon is on the bench. So that means that with Frostmoth and Rare Candy, we can evolve an Oshawott into a Samurott and attach 3 energy cards in 1 turn. Now that's a pretty powerful combination, but we also have to think, what if we aren't able to find the exact cards that we need to get that Samurott into play? Maybe we should start thinking about some alternative attackers that we can include in the deck. Let's think about it. The best kind of Pokemon to include would maybe be a basic Pokemon, because it only requires 1 turn to set up. And of course, we're going to want a Pokemon that attacks using water energy cards, because we already include water energy cards in our deck. There are lots of choices. We could pick Lapras V, Blastoise and Piplup GX, or Ice-Q V, just as some examples. However, I'm going to choose Keldeo GX. This Pokemon can do loads of damage for an attack cost of only 3 energy cards. And it has an ability that blocks GX Pokemon from attacking, which gives me time to set up my Samurott on the bench. Alright, we've talked about the hero of the deck, we've also talked about some core components, and now we've also discussed some ways to mitigate some of our weaknesses. Let's talk about now the draw engine of the deck, ways to draw cards and search for specific cards. Every Pokemon trading card game deck should have a way to search the deck and the discard pile for their core components. In competitive play, you will often hear this be called a draw engine, and almost half of every Pokemon TCG deck is dedicated to the draw engine. Let's consider Samurott. So to pull off the combination that we described earlier, so that's evolving an Oshawott into a Samurott using Rare Candy, and using Frostmoth's Ice Dance ability to put loads of energy cards onto that Samurott, we're going to need to draw a lot of cards. And the best way to do that is to include supporter cards in the deck, like Professor's Research and Marnie. But remember, one of the rules of the Pokemon trading card game is that you can only play 1 supporter card per turn. So it's a really good idea to include some Pokemon with abilities that allow us to draw extra cards every turn. Pokemon like Oricorio GX, Dedenne GX, Crobat V, or Snorlax are all very popular examples of Pokemon that have abilities that allow us to draw extra cards and allow us to get that Samurott into play quickly. But sometimes you might draw loads of cards but still miss out on that one card that you really wanted, perhaps that Samurott or the final water energy you needed to be able to use that Aqua Wash attack. So it's really important that we also include cards that specifically allow us to search the deck for those core components. In the Samurott deck, I would include cards like Quick Ball, Great Ball, or Pokemon Communication to find the right Pokemon to pull off that combination. Or an item card like Capacious Bucket that allows us to search the deck and find water energy cards and put them straight into our hand. And there's one other pretty important card that I'd like to include, and that's a new supporter card from the Sword and Shield Vivid Voltage expansion, Nessa. Nessa allows us to draw 4 in any combination of water Pokemon and water energy cards from the discard pile. That's pretty powerful. It's the kind of card that I'd love to have towards the end of the game when maybe there are lots of water energy cards or a Keldeo GX or a Samurott in the discard pile. But perhaps it's not quite as useful at the beginning of the game when we're trying to set up all our integral pieces. So I would only include 1 of those in the deck. Alright, now we've discussed the hero of the deck, the core components of the deck, how to identify and mitigate our weaknesses, and we've also discussed the draw engine of the deck. Now we're going to talk about probably the most fun part, naming your deck. Alright, we've done it. We've built a Pokemon trading card game deck from scratch. The final step is to name your deck. Most Pokemon trading card game decks are named after the two Pokemon that are at the core of its strategy. So in this case, the deck would probably be called Samurott and Frostmoth. However, you can be as creative as you like when you're naming your deck. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Top Deck Academy, where we covered the basics of a Pokemon trading card game deck building, and the 5 steps that you can take to turn your favourite Pokemon into the hero of a Pokemon trading card game deck. Let me know what you thought on the Samurott Frostmoth deck that we just built, and also which decks you'd like to see in the future. And make sure you stay tuned for the next episode of Top Deck Academy, where we're going to dive deeper into deck building with the Sword and Shield Vivid Voltage expansion. For some extra credit, here's the full deck list for this Samurott and Frostmoth deck.